Okay, so it finally seems like EA has given up on Battlefield 2042. An article recently that was put out from VGC. Now, I'm just going to put my hands up. I have no idea if these are a credible source. I have no idea if they're a negative source. I'm just going off what the article says. So the article actually says Battlefield 2042 is reportedly in abandoned ship mode as EA switches focus to the next series entry. Okay, so I'm not at all surprised by this, to be honest with you. I'm a little bit surprised at the timing more so than anything, because at the time of me recording this, it's actually within a day before Season 1 launches for Battlefield now. Now, what the article actually goes on to say is that Battlefield 2042's DLC is being worked on by a skeleton crew, as the majority of the Battlefield team moves on to the next game in the series, it has been claimed. Now, before I dive into this article as a whole, I just want to point out that I'm not at all surprised by this at all. Battlefield 2042, unless you've been hiding under a rock or living under a rock, whatever way you want to put it, hasn't exactly been the best received Battlefield game in the franchise. Now, a lot of people would have compared it arguably to Battlefield 4, because when both games launched, they were a mess. Battlefield 4 was crashing some PCs and just would not launch. However, within a couple of months, Battlefield 4 was actually at a very healthy state. The community test environment was created and all to help the developers and the community sort of bridge a gap and actually get a better game in the long term. Battlefield 2042's development has just been a roller coaster. We're actually getting Season 1 at the time of me recording this video. It is the 8th of June, so it is. Season 1 actually launches tomorrow, so it does, and realistically a lot of people have also had a bit of a backlash with that, because Season 1 for Battlefield 2042 only has one new map, which, if you ask me, is ridiculous. The fact that the game itself launched in a state that it just wasn't ready to be thrown out, and the fact that EA actually pushed back Season 1, because we weren't supposed to have Season 1 now, we were actually supposed to have Season 1 a few months back. And realistically, the fact that they pushed it back, everyone sort of had the attitude, well, you know what, they must have pushed it back because maybe they're doing more stuff, they're going to give us maybe more maps in Season 1. No, this is bad. This is actually what they're giving us, one map in Season 1, so it is. Now, I know a lot of people will say, yeah, but they're giving us, 2 additional weapons and a couple of vehicular items. That's all great, but no offense, I'm not exactly jumping for joy with that. That's actually a real, watered down game, so it is, especially when you consider the fact that the game in its current state still has balancing issues. The game's maps still haven't got a lot of cover, so they don't, and realistically it's pretty much just open field where you can just get shot at left, right and centre, because the game honestly doesn't flow all that well. Now, obviously there will be a lot of people who will defend the game and say, well, you know what, it's not easy to create a game, being a developer must be really difficult. I fully understand that, I completely agree with that, but at the end of the day, whenever you're being paid to actually release a game that for the most part a lot of people are going to pay £70 for if you're in the UK, you expect a better product, and realistically we didn't get a better product. What we got was a game that was unfinished. That's just the way I'm going to put it down as. It's a game that's unfinished. The stuff that Ripple Effect have done within the game I actually think has improved the game drastically, so it has. For instance, the team I did a video we did last week, which was the TDM of both Battlefield 3 and Battlefield Bad Company 2, so it was a bit of a mashup on the 2042 maps. Now again, I'm not going to lie, I don't like the Battlefield 2042 maps. I think they're pretty messy, if I'm being honest with you. Again, they just don't flow. But this game mode actually seemed like a bit of fun, because it watered down the map, it cut it off a bit, made it a lot smaller, and made you effectively just be running using the classic weapons that everyone does enjoy and actually like. Now, stuff like I say, the Ripple Effect have added that, for instance, does actually work and flow pretty well, which tells me quite a few things. One, Ripple Effect haven't had any interruptions with what they were planning on doing for the game. Even though we know Ripple Effect is now no longer a support studio, they're actually developing their own game. They were actually for the longest time classed as a support studio, and what they would have done would pretty much go and tidy the game up. The fact that they've been able to actually tidy the game up to a degree, add on different game modes, as well as actually, balance some of the weapons. Again, some of the weapons, there's still a lot of balancing that needs done. Now, I sound quite hypocritical on this, because what I'm going to say next is, it is sort of hypocritical. I actually think the game in its current state is a much better game than we got at launch. I actually think it's very playable at the moment, but that still doesn't cover the fact that at launch we got an absolute hell of a game. It was an absolute nightmare, so it was, to actually play this thing. It was crashing a lot of PCs, mine included. Mine couldn't run it, and I have a pretty decent spec PC, so I do. So realistically, the fact that this game was causing all these issues, again, it's a disgrace. It shouldn't be happening. I'm just happy Ripple Effect have actually been able to actually fix some of the stuff and actually been able to work on this game pretty well. What I'm not confident about, however, and this will actually lead me into my number 2 issue, is the fact that DICE Stockholm, I'm not going to lie, I mean, working through a pandemic can't be easy. I was going to say can't be difficult. It can't be easy, so it can't, and I fully understand working from home causes a lot of issues. But whenever you have other game studios that are able to put out a game that for the most part, yes, it may not be the best game, but it's at least a finished product, and your game isn't. Now let's be honest, Battlefield 2042 has been getting worked on for the vast part of 3 years. If you guys remember, Battlefield 5 launched in 2018 and roughly ran development for 2 years in terms of DLC and whatnot. But the problem is, with the DLC for Battlefield 5, that was all being handled by DICE Los Angeles, who are now Ripple Effect Studios. So DICE Stockholm, for the most part of 3 years, were developing this game, and realistically this game should have come out in a much better state. I'm sorry, but should have. I am not at all confident with DICE Stockholm taking the franchise forward. Now again, they could completely blow me away with the next entry in the series, but for the most part, based off what I've seen here, and the fact that Ripple Effect are no longer going to be a support studio, they're actually doing their own game at the minute. I worry for Battlefield, especially with DICE being the main studio with no help whatsoever going forward, because again, this is not the same DICE team that worked on Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. This is a completely different DICE team, so it is, because a lot of the old, or OG if you want to call it, developers, they all left to form a new studio working somewhere else. But anyway, that's the rant over. I'll actually read what the article says. Speaking on his premium giant bomb show, Groggenbox, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, by VGC, journalist Jeff Grubb said EA is attempting to fulfill the game's promised DLC using as few resources as possible so that it can focus on the next Battlefield game. Right, strike one to Erlon. The fact that he says they're using as few resources as possible pretty much tells me this is really going to be watered down. Like, the fact that we're getting one map of Season 1, that tells me that the next couple of seasons are going to have at least one map. We're not going to get much more upon the maps because, like say, limited resources are being pumped into it at this point. Now, I didn't pay a lot of money for 2042, but a lot of people did pay a lot of money. That's not right. Anyway, I'll follow it up. This is his actual quote. He says, "This game is basically down to a skeleton crew. It's down to like the bare bones, and those people are specifically just working on the promised additional seasons that the game needs to meet the requirements of high-end versions that it's sold," said Grubb, who described the situation as abandoned ship time. And realistically, that's not even the best of it, because if you consider most Battlefield games, realistically, on average Battlefield runs content at least for 4 years. 2 years, 4 years. Usually we get 2 years of consistent content flow, so it's new maps, new weapons, etc. for the length of time that the game's on average meant to run, because traditionally Battlefield games last of a lifespan of 2 years. Battlefield 2042 seems like it's getting kicked down the drain ASAP, because this next quote is actually worrying. EA has committed to releasing 4 seasons of live service content for Battlefield 2042 over the course of a year. Now here's the worrying thing, I don't know if it means a year from release or if it means a year from the actual DLC Season 1's release date. Okay, so the next follow-up thing that was said was this: the skeleton crew is working to pump out stuff the fastest and cheapest as it possibly can. Now that right there, like I say, that's worrying, mainly because, like I say, we're not going to get high quality gaming experiences now for the next year at least, because like I say, they're doing it on the cheap. Realistically, this to me will release with a lot of problems, because if you're doing something on the cheap, realistically you're not hiring the right people who understand the functionation of, say, the game engine. So realistically, this is going to be an absolute mess, and more bugs will probably come along with this, because like I say, this is probably the cleanup guys who are pretty much doing this. This is probably just the guys who do the lighting work effectively. And again, I have no disrespect intended to those. I'm sure those people who are involved in this will do the best of their ability. But when you have the high-end developers who are off planning ahead for the next game, which the article also says they're doing this to move everyone onto the new Battlefield as fast as possible, he claimed. The real core crew of developers of the Battlefield series are already working on the next entry. Okay, so realistically, I mean, it's dead. Like, 2042 is a dead game, realistically, because like I say, the products that will get released onwards for the next year at least, fingers crossed, they'll be buggy as all hell. They'll have loads of bugs with them, so well, because like I say, the developers aren't there to do the job. Again, it's going to be left to the backup guys, so it is. And again, no disrespect, but this isn't going to be looking good for anyone going forward. This is a complete mess. This game never should have been released, so it shouldn't, because since day one this game has had constant problems. And as someone who really does like Battlefield, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest Battlefield fan. I've enjoyed the games. I've enjoyed a very mixed variety of games. I liked Bad Company 1, Bad Company 2, BF3, BF4. Didn't mind Battlefield 1, wasn't exactly my cup of tea, because again, I just don't like the world we're setting. Hated Battlefield 5. It was atrocious. I think I've only put in like 3 hours of that in the space of like 4 or 5 years. So I have since it came out, which speaks for itself really, so it does. And 2042, believe it or not, I've actually put a bit of time into 2042, so I've actually enjoyed the game for the most part, but it hasn't come without me really struggling to actually find a bit of enjoyment with it. It's just, if you ask me, I think it's just, EA sold us a lie. EA sold us the biggest lie that this is going to be a new generation of Battlefield. This is going to be changing the gaming landscape. This game is a laughingstock. That's what this game is. This game is the biggest laughingstock in the Battlefield franchise, so it is. And Battlefield, let's be honest, they've had some low points. People thought they couldn't get any worse than Battlefield 5 in terms of, you know, user feedback and the initial reveal trailer. This is just sunk the franchise. This, I mean, honestly, the only option I can give EA at this point for the next Battlefield game, which, you know, based off recent reports is going to be releasing in 2024, I can only say that these guys really need to hit out of the park, otherwise the franchise is done. Like, honestly, you can't have free flops and expect to continue successfully. The next Battlefield game needs to do well, or else the series is done. At least for a couple of years, it'll probably be shelved. And I don't like saying that because, again, I'm someone who really likes variety in the gaming market. I grew up in a market that had games like, you know, Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Homefront, Brothers in Arms. So much variety, 5 FPS games that you could have picked from. Now, I'm not going to lie and say I played Homefront or Brothers in Arms. The games I primarily played were Bad Company 2, Medal of Honor 2010, and Black Ops 1 in that era. So it was, you know, loads of variety. If you didn't like one game, odds are there was another game that you would have liked out of the options you had available. We're now in a market doesn't see on average any real competition come to any big FPS games. For instance, whenever Call of Duty or Battlefield release a new trailer, that's pretty much what you're expecting to play. So it is one of those two games. And if you're in a situation like we were this year, like Vanguard is just awful. I mean, it's better than 2042, but that's not saying a lot, so it doesn't. You know, 2042 is just 2042. And the reason I find myself playing it, I think, is honestly because I'm a big fan of the FPS genre. I don't want to go back and play older games that have, you know, already played. I want to play something new, and this is the best I got. I don't like Vanguard at all. So, I mean, where do I go with this? I've even went to the point where I'm actually releasing Warface videos on this channel, so I'm just to develop the FPS content. Honestly, it's EA at this point. So yeah, so that was pretty much the basis of what the article said, you guys. It's pretty much confirmed the game's done, and the Battlefield franchise, you know, needs to do well in this next game. But yeah, hopefully I give you guys a bit more information. So it did, you know, look on the plus side, I suppose Modern Warfare 2 looks promising, so it does, and I'm not saying it in a sarcastic way, I'm generally excited. So yeah, hopefully we'll have something to do this coming October. But yeah, I've been encouraging you. If you like the video, you know, please like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I cover a lot of stuff. I'm not normally a news channel. I don't really like doing a lot of news, like actually playing the game, but this was just something I thought that I had to cover. So it is, because it now seems like it's officially done for 2042, so it is. But yeah, you know, I've done a couple of videos in the past talking about potential games that might be coming out, you know, in the next 2 years, and if I'm right, hopefully we'll have something promising. But yeah, I'll do a video next week, so I'll talk about what I do think EA should actually do with the franchise going forward at this point, and hopefully you guys stick around for that. But yeah, like I say, I've been Recursive, and you have a nice day. Thanks for checking the video, guys. Peace.